Hi and what the fuck? Well, hi and welcome to my first podcast. At least the first one for 2016. I've done some video back and forth with my good friend from the Objective Centrist, which I'm sure I'll do more with later this year. By the way, is it a podcast if I only post it on YouTube? I mean, well, whatever. That's where it's going. Obviously, you know this because if you're listening to it, you're listening to it on YouTube. Um, you can follow me on Twitter, Democracy Theater, or at DemC Theater, DEMCY Theater. Obviously, I am on Facebook because, well, we have to be on Facebook, right? So I'm there, Democracy Theater, and oh, again, because you're one of the smart ones and I haven't figured this out yet, you already know that you can find me on YouTube at Democracy Theater with Rich Scott. How are you all doing, all of you? Hopefully, a few of my followers will be listening to this, at least a family member or a friend. Uh, how was your Christmas? I hope you had a good and wonderful Christmas with friends or family, or however you chose to celebrate um, that day. I had a fantastic Christmas, probably one of the best I've had in years. Um, I went to Southern California, flew out. I live up in Northern California. I fly out of Arcata Airport, and well, uh, as always, especially in the wintertime, you get stuck. So it took me 17 hours to get from Northern California to my destination down south. I could have driven that distance 2 hours faster. So that was slightly annoying, and uh, my home trip did not get any better. It is pouring up here in Northern California, and I'm not complaining at all. It's wonderful. As a matter of fact, it's raining right now. Um, but it was certainly like being slapped in the face with a wet Sunday paper when I stepped out of the plane in San Diego after finally arriving. And it was freaking raining there too. That was not really what I had hoped for. I'm sure they need the rain too, but I don't care. It's not my problem. I have rain. Plus, they get the water from up here anyway, right? I think somewhere like that. My daughter and her wonderful husband had put their house, available, whatever. Yeah, if I could speak English, I'd be good at this. Went to their house, was decorated beautifully, and friends and family arrived, and somehow I was roped into cooking a traditional Danish Christmas dinner that my daughter, the previous, I think, month, I think she started talking about this in August, I think, that she was going to prepare. But yeah, she certainly has become very, 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 very good at delegating work. And I ended up becoming the chef. And I'm one of those people that complain a lot when I do that kind of stuff, and apparently that's irritating to the people around me. So I'll try to stop doing that. But I do complain even when I love it, and it was fun. It was a treat. I didn't think I would actually like to do that kind of stuff. It makes me feel too adult, and certainly not a feeling I normally like to have. So yeah, I had an amazing time, and it was a lot of fun. Um, New Year's Eve. Well, obviously, if you're listening to this, you made it through. And since I'm speaking on Sunday, um, uh, what is is it? It's Sunday. It's the 3rd of January. So I made it past too. It was slightly less eventful. Um, Nothing crazy to report. I stayed home with my dogs because they are not fans of the firework, and we do have some. Even though it's in the country, they clearly like everywhere else to blow up stuff, and it's fun, but just not for the dogs. So I decided to stay home with them. If this is information you want to hear about, that's what I did. So, what are some of the things that I will be looking at? I mean, that's like trying to predict what kind of issues will the president run into in his first year in office. Right now, it is in Denmark. The right wing is pushing very very hard for a flat tax, and I'm very interested in seeing how that is going. Obviously, the Middle East will be something that I will look at and comment on in the theater of politics that we live in. Um, I am The refugee crisis is will have a massive impact on Europe. I will later comment and hopefully have some people on from Europe. But I certainly never understood how Europe acquiesced to American foreign policy when, a 2-year-old could predict that that Europe would be taking the brunt of the refugee crisis. Like they're next door. They're not going to try to get to America, right? They're going to try to get to Europe first. So whatever. So that's going to be a big thing. And then obviously, as I'm recording this, and I have, it's a long story, and I'll get into that more. But it's taking me some effort to get to this point to record this. But as I speak, as you know, Saudi Arabia executed again like 40 some people, and one of them was a cleric that I think he was an Iranian cleric, certainly from the same sect as the Iranian people. So now that powder keg is about to explode. Our friend and ally Saudi Arabia is always trying to make life easier for us, right? That's why they're such a great ally. Jesus Christmas. On the domestic front, obviously the primary I'll be looking into. Obviously it's theater, and the whole thing is set up as some kind of weird stuff, and the media is not covering the issues as always, and obviously some people get covered more than others, and it's certainly not based on the validity of your political argument. So, with that being said, I am really, really interested in the presidential election this time around. I think that Donald Trump is the canary in the American politics. The stronger he is, the sicker we are as a society, just to be clear. But I will comment more on that, I'm sure, in later episodes. The economy is going to be playing just a tremendous role moving forward. I do know that the Feds raised the interest rate because they think that the American economy is becoming stronger. And, I'll go in and give a few numbers here in a second, but in aggregate, right, the economy looks better, but, we all, if you live in the real world and not, in statistical land or in OECD reports or in IMF reports, then it's clearly not a healthy economy. Um, the racial tension, the tension between African Americans and the police. Uh, those are it's a powder keg. It is interesting that we have held it together for so long, but that is some things that I am sure I will be commenting more on as the year goes by, or the coming weeks even. I'm sure we'll have another mass shooting in the next month or so. Also, as I'm recording this, uh, there apparently the Bundys are at it again. And no, I'm not talking about Bundys from Married with Children, but the what is it, Ted Bundy or whatever from that had some problems with BLM last year or a couple of years ago. Not sure about that. Um, Other than he had problems with BLM, I mean, I'm sure of that. His son is in Oregon now, and him and his friends, reports of as many as 150 and as few as a dozen, couple of dozen, have apparently taken over some federal buildings in Oregon. So it is one of the things I will be looking for is to see, or looking at, or commenting on, is just how crazy will white people become in the last year or so of President Obama's presidency. Was that even a good sentence? Of course not. I don't know. Well, two things. Clearly, if the occupiers of the federal building had been, if they're armed and had they been African Americans, they would have probably all been executed, shot at this point. And I don't want to say this. It's not like I'm whatever, but that just seems to be the way that it goes, right? Um, when the Bundys had the standoff with the BLM. They had snipers that were aiming at federal officers, and nothing happened, right? And we all, there was a little child shot in on a playground because he walked around with a toy gun. All right, so let's not pretend, okay? So that is something that I will be looking at. And can we just please, media, if somebody gets shot at that standoff, please, for the love of God, can we not use the term, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time? No, he wasn't. Not unless he was lost. I'm pretty sure he was there. He is there because he wanted to be there. And the time is the time of his choosing, right? So can we just retire that saying, unless the person that gets shot or wins, or, it can be negative or positive, unless he was lost and didn't mean to be there, he wasn't in the wrong freaking place. So stop saying it. So back to the American economy, which, if you delve into the numbers, I remember when I was a young lad, and I was looking for my first place to rent with my family. The advice that I received was that if you didn't make the rent if your salary in the first week didn't cover your rent, the rent was too expensive, and you shouldn't get that place. So apparently, the government or whoever does these kind of calculations says that one third, no more than one third of your salary should go towards your abode, right? So back in the day, it used to be that one in four, so about 25% of Americans had cost for their housing that was above that threshold of one third of your income that you made in a month went to towards your rent or to your rent. Um, Today, uh, we are reaching a number, as far as I understand, that's upwards of 50%, and of renters uh, are are paying upwards of 50% um, of their income in rent. That means that they're working for 2 weeks. That's just to pay their rent, not to electrical, clothes, food, nothing. Just to fucking have a place. There's no power on yet, right? There's no water in the house yet, right? There's no food in the refrigerator yet. The propane is not turned on yet, right? 50% just to fucking walk in, and if it's hot, well, then but certainly you are out of the weather. That's it. And you have to turn on the lights, and you have to get to your work, and blah 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 blah. So 50% of people's income, or let me put it that 50% of all renters today, or a number near 50% of all renters today, are paying about 50% of their income towards shelter. Um, we have about 47 million, 47 million Americans live in poverty. To give some kind of reference for my European friends, uh, what Spain has about 46 million citizens. So we have more people in America that live in poverty than than there are people in Spain, right? Uh, I mean, you could almost take almost any country in Europe, and we have more people in poverty. The scary number, though, is that 16 million of those people is children, and that's certainly not. That doesn't seem like a country that's doing better, right? And all these numbers are, by the way, up. They're not down, you know. And no, it's not Obama's fault. And no, it's not. It's not even. Well, yeah, it is actually, but it's certainly, it didn't start yesterday. This is a trend that's been going on for a while, and it's just became worse during the previous administration. So we have 8 million people that have moved in with friends or family, to consolidate living expenses. So that doesn't really seem to me to be an economy that is recovering, or certainly not in a broad sense, so that everybody or more people get to benefit from it. And when you have that, you add a tremendous amount of stress and a tremendous amount of anxiety. You have you have conflict between the people that are supposed to protect and you know and certain segments of the population. Uh, it is an interesting powder keg, and I I do actually think that the next election this time around matters a great deal. Um, I don't think how we can continue to be a society based on consumption with a declining wages somewhere between 2.6 to 3%, depending on what income spectrum you're in, or in, working poor to, upper middle class. And clearly, the more you make, the less you've actually lost, because, one group of people is paying a disproportionate amount of money. So that's something I'll be looking at. Yeah, that's it. Uh, I will be doing more of these. And as my studio comes together, and hopefully I can find a co host, and I will become better at this and more coherent, it will all get better. I hope. No, I promise. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. I guess I'm going to post this, but if not, rest of your week. And I will probably be on later or tomorrow with the Objective Centrist, talking about what's going on in Oregon and other things. Take care. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends. Take care of your neighbors. Be good. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.